Okay, so let's continue with just a couple more problems, and then I have one more thing that I want to do with you, and then this chapter 5-4, and 5-5 video will be complete. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we've got solve each equation by factoring. Okay, you always want to check to see if it's in standard form first. If it's not in standard form, which means it's equal to 0 on one side, then you must get it equal to 0. Please leave the x squared as a positive x squared, because then all the factoring techniques that we have done will work. Alright, so otherwise you have to figure it out a different way. Okay? So I have a positive x squared, so I want to leave everything with the positive x squared alone, and I want to move this piece. Okay, so if I move that piece, I want to get this equal to 0, so I'm going to add 36 to both sides. I'm going to put it right there because that's where it belongs when I do standard form. Okay, so then I've got x squared plus 15x plus 36 is equal to 0. Okay, now we've done this in the last section 5-4, so we're just going to do this as if you see patterns. Okay, I'm not going to do the ACB on these, I'm going to do patterns. Okay, so this is x and x. I need numbers to multiply to 36, but also add to give me a 15. Okay, so that means they're going to be the same signs. They're both going to be plus, one on the B, so that's plus. And then if I do a 3 and a 12, multiplied gives me 36, add gives me a 15. Now I need to solve it. So this is my OR piece. Okay, so I set this equal to 0. If you want to go straight to x equal -3, you may do that. And then x is equal to a -12. And there's your answers, x equal to -3 or x equal to -12. So there's your answers right there. Okay, over here, you're going to see that this is not equal to 0. Okay, so you want to make sure it's equal to 0 first. So I'm going to subtract 20x. So I subtract 20x. I'm going to put it right in the middle because that's where it belongs. I'm going to put it where it belongs. So I've got 3x squared minus 20x minus 7 is equal to 0. Okay? Alright, now this is not that bad to factor out using the pattern. So I'm going to see if you guys can get this. If you can't, then you can do the ACB method. Okay? The only factors of 3 are 3 and 1. Okay? So that's the only factors of 3. The only factors of 7 are 7 and 1. So this is not going to be that bad. So the only factors of 3 are 3 and 1, so I got 3x. I'm going to have 3x, and I'm going to have x. This is a minus. This would be a 3 times a minus if I did the ACB, right? So that's a minus. So that means I have different signs. I'm not going to put my signs in just yet. Then I just have a 7 and 1. Remember, whatever number I put here because of foiling, this is actually the outside piece of the foil. I have to multiply by 3. I'm trying to get to a 20. Alright, so it's going to be, is it going to be 3 times 1 or 3 times 7? And I'm going to subtract, because I have to subtract. So it's going to be 3 times 7, and then I'm going to put my 1 right there. Now, if I do my inside and outside, this is 3x times 7, which is 21x. 1 times x is x. I need a negative 20 on this, so it makes sense to put that at negative 21. So to get that negative 21, it goes there, and there's my plus right there. So patterns might be quicker than the ACB. ACB is another strategy you can rely on though, okay? I was taught with patterns, so that's what I do. Alright, so here I go. I'm going to move this over here because I ran out of room, so I'm going to say 3x plus 1 times the quantity x minus 7 equals 0. Okay? So then here's my split, this is my OR, and then I set each one of these equal to 0. This one's easier, x is equal to 7. Some of you can do this in your head, that's nice. If you don't make an error, I'll allow you to do that. Start making errors, you're going to do those baby steps. So 3x equals -1, and then divide by 3. And so then my x is equal to a -1/3, or x is equal to 7. And there's your answers right there. Okay? And then the last couple problems here, solve each equation by finding square roots. Okay? Okay, this is another way that you can solve equations when you only have two terms. Okay, so it's quick. We like this as well. All right, so now you have ways that you can factor this, of course. This last one, I'll show you how it works with factoring, but these we'll just do with the square roots, okay? I'll do both on these. All right, so you got x squared plus 49. Okay, so you want to, since there's only two terms, there is no x term in any of these. See how the x term is missing? That means you may use square roots, okay? So finding square roots is when the x term is missing, then we have another shortcut, which is nice, okay? So that's when the x term is missing. So let's go ahead. We're going to add 49 to both sides. So then I get x squared is equal to 49. And now what's the opposite of squaring? That is square rooting. So I square root both sides. And then I have x is equal to, now remember, when you take the square root and it's equals, it's a plus or minus. You can have two answers. That's what that 2 means. At most 2 answers. And then what is the square root of 49? It is 7. So that's your answer. It's x is equal to -7 or 7. And that's your answer right there. Okay, then number 4. Same idea. Oh, great, the x term's missing. Woohoo! So let's go ahead and solve this. So we got plus 180. So then you've got 5x squared is equal to 180. Now, you have to divide by 5 first. You have to get that x squared term by itself first. See, it was by itself first here. The coefficient is 1. This coefficient is 5. So you need to get this x squared piece isolated first. So you want to divide by 5 first. So then you get x squared is equal to 180 divided by 5 is 36. Okay? And then what is the opposite of squaring? It is square rooting. So then I got x is equal to at most 2 answers, plus or minus. And then the square root of 36 is 6. You may leave it like this or as well. X equals plus or minus 6. You will see that. Then this last one, I have no x term. Great. Okay. So then I don't have the x squared term by itself first, so I need to divide by that 4. So divide by 4. And then I've got x squared is equal to, now this is just 25/4, so I'm just going to write that down. Okay? And I'm going to leave it like that. Alright? And then what's the opposite of squaring? It's square rooting. And then I've got x is equal to, and then again it's plus or minus because at most 2 solutions. And then you just break this up. So you say, what is the square root? I'm going to put this here. This is the same as the square root of 25 over the square root of 4. Okay? And we did that in geometry with our similar ratios, didn't we? And then the square root of 25 is 5 over the square root of 4 is 2. So there's my answer, plus or minus 5/2 or plus or minus 2.5. Okay? So then to show that with factoring, to see how it actually works out, okay, I think I'll erase this one right here and I will do the factoring here, okay? All right, so I'm going to erase that one and I'm going to do this with the factoring just so that you can see that you get the same answer. So 4x squared equals 25. So say you forgot about the square rooting, okay? So you can set this equal to 0. So subtract 25. So you get 4x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. Okay, now you notice this is 2 different terms and these are perfect squares. Now they're not always going to be perfect squares, but this one ends up being that. So then I can factor this. Okay, and what is the square root of 4? That's going to be 2x and 2x. And then what's the square root of 25? That is a 5. But this is a minus, so that's difference. The difference of 2 perfect squares going on there. Plus 5 and minus 5. And then here is our split. Okay, here's my OR piece. And then I've got 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. And then 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. this, I add 5 to both sides and divide by 2 on this one. And there I get my x equals 5 halves. Still on there? Yeah. Okay, so x equals 5 halves. I'll put it right here so I don't go off the screen. So x equals 5 halves. That's what this is, positive 5 halves. See, it's the same. Then this one would be your negative. So this is x is equal to a negative 5 halves when you go ahead and solve those baby steps. And there's your negative 5 halves. Okay, so you will get the same answer. This is quicker. Okay, so don't forget about finding square roots, and that's when the x term is missing. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to do one more thing with you, and then we will be complete.